Okay, so the Vancouver Canucks play later today, so we're going to have ourselves some action with Anthony Beauvillier, hopefully on a line with Elias Pettersson and Andrei Kuzmenko, seeing how that works out in boosting the former's trade value. But I did allude to this yesterday, that there was an entire video topic that I wanted to explore before the Bo Horvat extension was given out by the Islanders. It's talking about Vancouver Canucks president and hockey operations guy, Jim Rutherford. Because when it comes to an article published on the Toronto Sun by Steve Simmons, this is what he talks about in regards to the NHL's All-Star Weekend. The title of the article says that it was entirely underwhelming, and I will leave a link in the description if you want to go ahead and read this. But deep intertwined in this article is a little thing going over the Canucks' pretty much spokesperson for the team anytime anything happens regarding this entire Rutherford ordeal and how it's gone so far. Take a look at the seen and heard part of the Steve Simmons piece. This is kind of where he goes over and just blasts a whole bunch of sentences, all regarding different things about things that he's heard around the NHL and what he thinks is sort of worth writing about. If you go over to, what is this? There are so many things in this one paragraph separated by a few ellipses that it's kind of weird to say where it is, but if you do a Control F and you search for Jim Rutherford, you'll find Steve Simmons writing this about the Canucks president of hockey ops. The Bo Horvat deal. Proof that Lou Lamoriello is still relevant in the NHL. And more than one hockey person I've run into this weekend believes that Jim Rutherford wants out as president of the Canucks. That's the kind of mess this situation is in. There was a lot of sympathy for Bruce Boudreau when he was unceremoniously dumped as coach. But a prominent league scout told me this: the Canucks have some players. What they don't have is a team. That was on the coach. Now, this one little thought, we could say it's a thought, right? It's kind of like 32 thoughts, except it's all clumped together into one paragraph. I mean, Steve Simmons going out there and publishing this definitely is alarming for a lot of reasons. Firstly, Simmons is not some bum who's going out there and making things up out of nowhere. Sure, you could debate whether or not his Leafs takes are accurate or not, but the point is the guy has sources, and the guy definitely is connected when it comes to people in the NHL world. And so saying that there is some belief out there that Jim Rutherford wants out as the Canucks president. Firstly, it contradicts everything that he said when he was getting interviewed multiple times throughout the past few years. He knows what it's like to be in a Canadian market, and he likes the pressure. He knows the fans love it. The fans are very passionate and everything. He has said multiple times on record that he loves the challenge. He thinks that this is a great opportunity and that this is a special sort of circumstance where the fans are a lot more engaged in a Canadian market than it is in, let's say, a whole bunch of other markets out there in America, for example. And so, seeing that he went out there and said specifically that it's a good thing, it's cool, up for the challenge, only to see that now, after just over a year, the guy wants out. Huh. Okay. There are a few articles going about this on a whole bunch of different websites. There's one on Daily Hive that I kind of wanted to show you here. This was written by, who was this? Adam Lascaris, there you go, from yesterday, talking about how Rutherford is believed to wanting out of the Canucks job. Take a look at this. Simmons did not clarify what exactly wanting out means. Is Rutherford expected to quit on his own terms in the next few weeks, with Vancouver still having 33 regular season games left? Or is he going to step down at the end of the year? Or even if Rutherford is having a bit of an existential crisis, will he swallow his pride and continue in his role past this season? It's rare, but not impossible, to see a mid-season managerial change in the NHL. And, there was another perspective that I saw floating around on the Canucks subreddit, and a few people said this on Twitter as well, that part of the reason that maybe a guy like Rutherford, and this is just speculating, of course, this is all this YouTube channel really is, to be honest, part of the reason this may be the case, he wants out, something like that, maybe in some augmented reality that might not be this one, but whatever, maybe Jim Rutherford is not being given the opportunity to do what it is that he really wants to do as the president of hockey ops for the Vancouver Canucks. Maybe there is a chance that he said, hey, we need to trade this guy. He told Patrick Allvin, hey, we need to trade this guy. We need to make these types of moves. We need to get these types of players. And maybe there was somebody above that said, no, Jim, we can't do that. We don't want to rebuild. We need to do something else. We need to do this instead. Maybe, just hypothetically, throwing it out there, and I'm beating around the bush because I want to be very specific with my language here, maybe there's been some level of meddling by somebody up above that has gotten to the point where now Rutherford, who is not really in complete autonomy of his job, wants out because of it. It happened with Trevor Linden, exactly in that fashion. So who's to say that this type of thing is prone to not happening again? I don't know, man. Jim Rutherford is sort of in that territory where he's approaching, okay, let's just say it, for lack of a better term, he's old. He's 73 years old. Not Lou Lamoriello old, that guy's 80, but Jim Rutherford has seen it all, pretty much, and it's gotten to a point now where, in his early 70s, as the president of a team that is this so far back, I'm not too sure if it's really all too fair to say that he would take any crap from anybody who is telling him what to do as the president of a hockey team. And furthermore, how does the entire Bruce situation play into that? We already saw Rutherford's apology to Bruce saying that it was his fault that the entire thing was spread around there. Then some people from Vancouver apparently told Elliot Friedman, oh, this is your fault because you leaked it in your article or whatever it was. And it's like, okay, no. You can't go out there start blaming the journalists for things that start to leak, because if it wasn't Friedman, it would have been somebody else. Somebody else would have gone out there and wrote an article about Bruce Boudreau and Rick Tocchet and all that crap. But Rutherford took ownership of that, which I don't think was fair for him to do, because I really do think a lot of that had to do with Aquilini. But, yeah, I don't know. We could see that Rutherford has taken the fall for the guy up top. But something in me asks whether or not that is a consistent pattern throughout the rest of the Canucks hockey operations, and not just a thing for the Bruce Boudreau front. But either way, you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below whether or not this is something that we need to think about, Jim Rutherford potentially wanting out, if this is actually something that you think is worth putting any thought into, because, I mean, look, the guy is pretty much a year and change removed from taking this job on in the first place, and now, apparently, according to some people in the NHL, he wants out. That is quite alarming, if I do say so myself. Not to say that he has done a good job or a bad job or whatever in this position, but it's definitely been rough. And there were some wins in there, some losses in there, and I don't know, man. I mean, if he really does think that this is sort of like the breaking point, the tipping point, the Bruce Boudreau situation, then all the power to him, I guess. But you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below whether or not it's worth it to put any stock into this idea. Links in the description to the Daily Hive article, as well as the original piece on the Toronto Sun as well. Steve Simmons is the guy. Take him with a grain of salt. Do what you will with all that info. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.